Hey everyone, I'm Tamara and welcome to Tam's Psych Advice. Today I'm going to talk to you about the incredible, incomparable Istj female. I think being a female changes this type to some degree. So I was inspired to do this video by a story that I remembered from a few years ago. I was talking to an Istj female who thought she found the man of her dreams. This guy was hot. He was ridiculous. He was her dream guy, so she thought. And so she was so excited to be dating this guy, and she just thought, he's amazing. Like he's everything I wanted. I feel so attracted to him. And so they went out on several dates. And after a few months, the guy came over and they had fun and they talked and all of that. And then at the end, before he left, he told her, I want you to repeat something back to me. And he said something like, and she repeated it. So it was like this relationship is not going to work. And so after that, they walked to the door because it was her house. And she told him goodbye, or was ready to tell him goodbye. But he stood in, like, he went outside, but kept talking. So it was like they were talking while she had the screen door cracked. And they talked and they talked and they talked for at least another 40 minutes. And at some point he said, oh, you remember that candy that you asked me if I wanted? I think I'll take it. So he came back in, got the candy, walked back outside, still kept talking. And in her head, she kept thinking, why is he still talking? I don't understand. But okay. I mean, so they talked about politics and music and the future and business opportunities, you name it. They just talked until somehow the conversation finally ended and he left and she locked the door and closed it. So she was just perplexed, like, why did he keep talking after that for so long? And then something dawned on me. I was like, oh, I know. He thought you were gonna cry. He thought that you were going to beg and plead and, oh, but I like you so much. Are you sure that why are you saying this relationship won't work? I want to be with you. Please don't leave. He thought you were going to do that kind of stuff. Like fall on your knees. The waterworks happen. The tears flow. You're trying to convince him that he's making a bad decision or you go off on him. And she was like, oh, okay. That's why he kept standing there. That's why he kept talking, because he didn't get the reaction that he wanted. Why? Because the ISTJ makes a different type of female. They just do. I remember another ISTJ female told me that when she was growing up, her brother told her to go make him a sandwich. And he thought she was going to be subservient. And she was like, no. She refused. So he tied her to a tree. And he finally had to come and get her finally had to untie her from that tree because she refused. I'm not making you a sandwich. Go make your own. So you put thinking on a female, especially an ISTJ, and you're going to get something different. You're going to get a different response and a different picture many, many times than you would from a feeling female. You just are. And it's not that these females didn't feel something. They still have estrogen. So of course, if you like someone and they break up with you, you're going to be upset. You're going to be sad. You're going to have your moments. You may be, I'm sure the ISTJ was inwardly pretty devastated, pretty upset, but she held her composure. She held her poise. She acted in the manner in which she thought was appropriate. And so he got surprised. I think because they do have estrogen, then they still have, they're still female, of course. They're still female. I think that's what makes us different. I think that's what makes women different. And what makes men different. Even when they're feeling types, they still have testosterone. So it's going to play out differently. They may not feel as emotional or as teary. I've known some ISTJs who have a great sense of style, a great sense of fashion, and who are very glamorous and love makeup and love to just glam it up. And then there are others who prefer not to be that way, and that's okay too. So you're going to see both. You're going to see some ISTJ females that are not into fashion at all, but some of them do have a great sense of style. What's also interesting is that they're not necessarily left-brained. When you think of ISTJ, for me, I think of all the way to the left. If you could pick any combination of letters that in my mind are all the way to the left, it would be the I, the S, the T, and the J, which to me is kind of, I'm going to say, it would be the most masculine in some ways that you could think of, or the most left-brained that you could think of, just if you were looking at the letters objectively, but it doesn't always turn out that way. It doesn't always come across that way. So I think ISTJs, the females that I've seen, are actually pretty, they come across as very even-tempered, kind of calm, kind of steady. People can depend on them to get their job done. When you think of ISTJ, you think of kind of the brainiest type, and INTP's brainiest presentation. Those two types, they can kind of have that presentation to a certain degree, I think, which is a compliment. Speaking of feelings, I think ISTJ females can get their feelings hurt quite a bit. Maybe not a lot, but, and it may not even be feelings hurt. Maybe I should phrase it a little differently. I think they're often shocked and surprised by people's reactions to them. I think they hurt people's feelings. I think they offend people. I think, and it's not on purpose at all. And I think they're always perplexed and shocked. Like, okay, why am I always saying things and people have this reaction to it? I think it's because they're a female and they're a thinker and they say things objectively. And I think in man world, and sorry guys, I'm sure guys get tired of us, but thinking this way. But I mean, it is it's a man's world. But to some degree it is. So I think when you have an ISTJ male, people are not going to be as offended by what they say. They're going to accept it as is. Like, this is a very straightforward person and they're saying what's on their mind, and they're not going to take offense to it. They're going to take it as a matter of fact. And when a female says those kinds of things, she's being matter of fact as well. She's not being funny. She's not trying to offend. She's not trying to be difficult. She's not trying to be a B. She's just stating something. And I've heard ISTJ say, golly, why are people so offended? Like, why do they have this reaction sometimes to the things that I'm saying when I'm clearly in my own head? I'm not trying to be offensive, not trying to be funny. I'm just stating something, and that's it. I think sometimes by virtue of them being an introvert, sometimes they get frustrated because extroverts can steamroll over them and they feel like, you know what, I'm not being heard. So they can kind of be, I guess, passive in one way, where they just kind of like, whatever, like just do whatever you want to do. We'll just go with what you want to do, because I'm tired. I'm an introvert. I'm not going to fight for the spotlight. I think it's interesting that sometimes ISTJ females will read about their type, or they'll, I had someone in the comment section to say something like they don't like being an ISTJ, or just hearing the videos makes them not like it. And, that makes me feel a little sad, because I think there's a lot to love about an ISTJ, and especially an ISTJ female. Wow. Like, you're not going to see very many of those. You're gonna see a lot more men ISTJs than you will a female. So it's special, it's rare, it's really cool. I think it's something that a lot of people want, but they don't have. Some of them will feel like they're connecting with men more, or that men understand them and get them, and that, they just have these really cool relationships with guys, and that can be really, really fun as well, I think. And I think when I think of ISTJ females, I think of strength. I think they honor whatever their job protocols are. They're going to be faithful and loyal in their marriages. They're going to be faithful mates. They're going to take their responsibilities to their children very seriously, as they take any commitment. And when you think of an ISTJ female, you think of duty, you think of sensible, you think of dependable. And these types, ISTJ females, can be extremely creative. They can put the wow factor in any presentation. It's going to be super creative, just beautifully, tastefully done. They know how to wow people. They can also be incredibly creative, coming up with endless activities and ideas that are really, really fun. So they have a lot of hidden talent that often surprises people, but it's like, wow, it's so cool to have an ISTJ on your team. They can be very practical and very responsible. And speaking of male versus female, just kind of an interesting little side note about ISTJ men, they may be different when they're only with other men. Like, they may speak differently, act differently. It could be a very masculine personality type, but yet whenever I've seen ISTJ females, they do bring a very feminine persona to that ISTJ personality type, generally speaking. So type, though, is going to be a very practical type. They might not like embellishments or, speech that is full of flowery adjectives. They're probably not going to do that. They might get a little annoyed with too much words of affirmation as a love language. Could kind of get under their skin, but not necessarily, because any type can be any love language.
When you're feeling down in a crappy mood, it's hard to get out of it by simply thinking happy thoughts, especially these days. Check out my jewelry at the Etsy link below. You'll be amazed at how good it feels to wear something that shifts your mood and lifts your spirit. Imagine wearing something fun and feeling better at the same time.
Check out my book, The Workplace Narcissist by Tamara Zyon on Amazon. Bye!